Everyone, this is Papo. I'm going to be going over Form to Win, another intro, and maybe today we'll dive a little more into it. Once again, you can get the app at formtowin.com. It's available on Google Play and also the Apple Store, so feel free to download it on your devices. And when you do that, the first time that you install it, it's going to take a minute or two to load everything up, but you're going to see two main options for the free service. You're going to see the last 2 days of results. So I'm going to click on yesterday here, and we're seeing all the tracks that ran yesterday as well as the results. And I'll show you what the results look like. If we click on Gulfstream Race 1, this was yesterday. These are the conditions of the race. You can always click this tab, and actually I'm going to take myself off here so you guys can see all the tabs. If you click on this tab here, you get the race conditions. So this race was at yesterday, Gulfstream Park. We're going 5 furlongs on the turf. These were the runners, and Form to Win is color coded to show how they ran. So first is always red, second is always green, third is always yellow, fourth is blue, and anything lower than fourth is always going to be brown. And the first thing that you want to do when you go to Form to Win, when you're looking at the past results, is click on this Analyze tab. Now, I clicked on the Analyze tab, and I haven't applied any filters to this. This is just going off the raw data that Form to Win generated. And you see here that the 2 fastest horses on Form to Win, without any sort of parameters built in by applying filters, they ran 1-2 yesterday. Obviously the favorite went off at low odds, but the second horse was a little over 4.5 to 1. But I mean, that was just without any filters or any handicapping. That was strictly just on the Form to Win quotient that we use. Now you're going to see different headings here. You have the horse, the post position, the odds that they went off at, the best Form to Win time, the average Form to Win time, which I think is a key indicator, the average Equibase figure, which I always like to look at, the number of starts, the foal date, if that's something you want to look at, especially for 2-year-olds. Some of the more precocious ones will be born earlier in the year. Average weight carried, race weight, average this race versus their last race differential. Some of that stuff doesn't really apply to the American market, more so in Australia, where they tend to actually run true handicaps. But it is just additional information that you can look at. Now, if you don't want to see it, if you just want to look at a couple of different parameters, I encourage you to go to this little tab here, and we'll click on that, and you can see I have dimmed out the worst. Well, there, that's what you see when you first log into Form to Win. But I have decided that I don't want to look at those particular statistics, so I will just dim these out. I don't care about best or worst times for Equibase. I am interested in the average Equibase speed figure, the average calculated Form to Win time, which I think is really probably the most valuable thing on the app itself. I'll keep the calculated best time in. No interest in these right now either, so I'll just dim these out. So now you can see there's a lot less information on my screen, but I'm only looking at the information that I think personally is valuable. And the way that you sort these is you can double click and it'll sort them from highest to lowest. So if you're looking at average Equibase speed figure, you obviously want to sort it from highest to lowest. So it looks like the horse that won, the number 2, he had the highest average in 4 starts. His average Equibase speed figure was a 67. And then if you want to sort by average Form to Win, you want the lowest time, because Form to Win is a time that's developed based on where they finished in the race, and we calculated at what speed they were traveling. So you actually, the lower speeds on Form to Win are the better ones. So we sort this one from low to high, and the average Equibase from high to low. And when you do that, you're looking for horses that can finish in the top, what I call a dual qualifier. So they're in the top 3 in average Equibase and the top 2 in average Form to Win. Those are just the horses that I want to pay more attention to. But just going strictly off average Form to Win time yesterday at Gulfstream Race 1, you can see those are the top 2 fastest horses on Form to Win. Actually, the top 3 fastest horses on Form to Win. And that third place finisher went off at 10-1. I mean, you know, there were 6 horses in the race. So, you know, I'm not telling you to bet a trifecta in a 6-horse race, but it just helps you identify at least the fastest horses on Form to Win time were ironically the ones that ran basically 1, 2, 3. And so that's why we provide all this information, this back data, so you can go look and try to find angles to look at. Let's go back to Gulfstream Race 2 from yesterday. Once again, we have all the horses here. I'm just going to click Analyze. And I'm going to sort them. This is sorted from average Form to Win. Once again, well, 4-horse field, so not much to really harp on here. But the 2 fastest horses on Form to Win were the horses that ran 1, 2. Let me see if I can find a field that has more. This field had 7 horses yesterday. Once again, without any filters, the horse that finished first had the average Form to Win time. Now it's not always going to work out like that. Now it was working well yesterday. I noticed at Gulfstream and Mahoning, Mahoning Valley, if you would have bet the top 2 horses on Form to Win, I think they took, well, at Mahoning they took 7 of the 8, and I think at Gulfstream they did pretty well too, because let me click here, Race 4, Analyze, that was the winner. He was the fastest on average Form to Win. Analyze. This horse was the faster on Form to Win, so it looks like yesterday was a good day for just Form to Win on the pure figures. But there's a lot more that you can do, and there's a lot more value you can derive from the app by actually building your filters. So I'm going to actually go to, let's go to some live races. So this is today. Gulfstream Race 7 goes off in a couple minutes. I think I talked about this race on Steve's show today. Steve Bick, on the Steve Bick show. I set some parameters. So this race is going 8 furlongs on the turf at Gulfstream Park. I'm going to click Analyze. And right now, these 2 horses, well, we're pulling in Equibase odds, which are the morning line odds, but now that the race, we actually have live odds, I'm going to switch this from Equibase odds to AmWager odds. Now, you don't have to have an AmWager account to get the AmWager odds through the app, but we do allow Form to Win to tie into the back end of our system, so you can get live odds. So now I'm looking at live odds for Gulfstream Park Race 7. I'm going to click Analyze. And just off pure raw data, it's saying that Blind Ambition, the 7-horse, is currently trading at 4.9. We use decimal odds on this like we do on AmWager. It's just easier to understand as opposed to fractional odds. Those 2 are the top fastest on Form to Win. So, you know, I'm going to keep my eye on those horses. But I really want to build a filter. So I'm going to click Analyze, and then I'm going to click this tab here. And since this race is at Gulfstream Park and it's 8 furlongs, Gulfstream Park, just from playing that track, I know that it tends to play towards front runners, especially on the turf course. So I set my parameters from 7 furlongs to 8. You know, if the race were at 8 furlongs, I'd probably set it from 8 to 8.5. But for this particular race, since it is at 8 furlongs, I'm going to go from 7 to 8 furlongs, and you can change those. You know, if it were a 1.25 mile race, it would just be, you could change it to, that would be 10 furlongs here. But we'll just go from 7 to 8. So we just hit this plus sign. Finish position, if you want to see where the horse finished in these starts. Right now, I'm not so much concerned about that. Margin, I'm not really concerned about beating lengths. You can look at starts, the maximum number of starts within a certain amount of time. Once again, for me, I just rather look at a combination of the total raw data. And then track condition, I probably should have looked at the current weather conditions. Looks like there's 78 degrees. Looks like there is rain in the forecast, and I have not checked Equibase or Twitter to see if it's raining. I'm going to assume that it's not yet at Gulfstream Park, but if it was, and you knew the turf condition was good, soft, hard, firmer yielding, you could look at how those horses ran on that type of turf course just by clicking on these buttons. Right now I'm going to click all turf, but take for instance, if the track were good yielding or soft, if I hit apply, then it would only look at these horses' starts on that type of turf course. But right now I want to look at all turf courses that they've run on, and I'm going to hit apply. I'll sort it by highest average. So Thunder Ride, the 2-horse, currently trading at a little under 6-1. He had the highest average Equibase speed figure in 7 starts for this distance between 7 and 8 furlongs. Morocco, who looks like he's your favorite, he had the second fastest Equibase, second average Equibase speed figure. So obviously I like those two. And then I really want to sort these by average form to win. So Thunder Ride is a dual qualifier, which is why I was interested in him and brought him up on Steve's show. So we'll have to see how he's going to run, but I would be interested in him. And also, if you want to see how the horses have run, like their past performances on this screen all combined, take your filter off, hit comparator, and you're seeing a summary of where these horses have been. So this horse has 10 starts, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, 6 off the boards, 10 starts for the number 2 horse, 1 first, 1 second, 1 third, 1 fourth, and then 6 off the boards. I mean, that's a decent way of kind of summarizing things, but I think a better way of doing it is to sort it by distance. And then the key here is to click down on this summary box and click packed. And what this enables you to see is all the horses' starts packed on one screen, from their most recent start on the left-hand side all the way back. So it looks like the 1 horse, he was off the board in a race a little over a month ago. He ran a 94 Equibase speed figure, and his form to win time was 1:27, going 7.5 furlongs. If you wanted details on that race, you could just click on it, and it would tell you where he finished. He finished 7th. And it looks like a horse, Renaissance Frolic was the horse that won it, but that's just giving you more race details on each particular race. But I always like to look at, it looks like the 2 horse that I like, he ran, I mean, he finished 8th last time. I don't know if he had a trouble trip or anything. I haven't watched replays, but his Equibase speed figure was a 101, which is second only to the favorite. The number 5 horse, who ran a 103 last time out. So that's just things I like to look at. And obviously you want to see more red than anything, that horses that like to win or run second. But you could also see, if I were to click on a race and I see a horse that constantly has greens on this screen, that tells me that the horse doesn't really like to win. I mean, he may have excuses, but he also just may like to be the bridesmaid way too often. So this is just a different way of looking at the PPs and seeing everything. And what these little boxes here said, this just indicates this was a 35-day break between races. This horse has had a 47-day between races. Just an easier way of knowing the time, like off the layoffs, how the horses are running. So that, once again, that's just a different way of looking at the information. But you can get on that by clicking comparator and then sort it by distance. And then the key is to pack it. And then if you want to just know information about each particular horse, who the trainer is and everything, just click summary. And then you can click on the horse. So it looks like Thunder Ride, his last 10 races, he's only won once. So they're not too confident there. But let's see. Jaramillo is the jock. And I was looking at some of his past races, and it looks like that's a positive jock change, in my opinion. We'll see how the race plays out. I know he can be a speed rider, so I'm not sure where this horse is going to be placed. But that may be a positive angle. But we will go back to the regular screen, and you can always hit, if you're in the summary and you want to get back, let me click on this, just hit this red button right up here, and that will take you back to this screen here. So I would be interested in, let's see, Thunder Ride and Blind Ambition. You know, your favorite is running 135s. I'm not saying that he can't win, but you know, some other price horses here are interesting. And without the filter active, it looks like Morocco's still a little bit slower than some, but it could have just been, let me see what the races that he was running in. He was running 8 furlongs, 8 furlongs. So yeah, so he's been running in 8, let's see, 8.5, 8.5, 8.5, 8. So maybe the 8 will be a little bit too sharp for him, but we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to toss the favorite, but the horse I would be interested in this race is Thunder Ride. He was, 6 to 1 a minute ago, and he's going lower. But if you were at the track and you actually wanted to bet this race, maybe you didn't want to play the favorite, you could hit this calculator here, and if you were trying to get the favorite out of the picture and you wanted to Dutch these two horses, you could just tell them how much you wanted to spend. So if you wanted to spend $50, this is a tool called Dutching, which we have available on AmWager. It takes your $50 and it disseminates it across your horses based on their odds. So if you're trying to maximize the given payout using that combination, if you wanted to put $20 on a combination, it would you'd walk up to the teller and say give me $20. Let's see. $45 on the 7 horse would pay $247. $55 on the 2 horse would pay you $242. So that's Dutching. It's a tool that you can use when you're at the track, or if you had your other ADW pulled up. We'd appreciate you had AmWager up, but if you didn't have AmWager pulled up, you could bet your horse to win or bet a combination of horses if they weren't the favorite. Just looks like, oh, there it is. There's the 20. Sorry about that. Yeah, so if you had $20 to spend, you'd put $9 on the 7 horse. It would pay $49.50. Put $11 on the 2 horse, and it would pay $48.40. So you can get an estimate of what your payouts would be if you were trying to play those horses. That's the bet to win. We are going to eventually put some different types of wagers, incorporate them into Form to Win. But right now we've got the Dutching on the win betting. So we'll see. We'll come back here in a couple of minutes and see how this race ended up. I would be interested in the 2, the Form to Win, like the 7 and the 2. So I'm going to go back to the home screen. Let's see. We've got Oaklawn. Well, that's a little ways off. If you just want to play the next 10 races, these are sorted by post times. So the race at Golden Gate apparently just went off. We got Fairgrounds going off at 4:25. And this race, it looks like, is 6 furlongs. It's on the dirt. And just going off strictly averages on Form to Win, I'll just highlight these 2 horses that I would just take a look at right off the top. Form to Win's identifying their averages as being the lowest, which means they're the fastest. But I want to see what sort of sample size we're looking at. So I sort it by distance and then packed. We don't have a lot of starts for these horses. So young horses, we don't have as big a data set, but it looks like got some horses cutting back. Looks like they're running at a mile and a 16th. Got some horses stretching out from 5.5. So for this particular race, if I wasn't looking at the horses that were on the cutback, I would probably looking at horses that have run from 5.5 furlongs to maybe 6.5. And then track condition, this was on the dirt, I believe. Yep, there's dirt. So I will do all dirt. I'll hit apply. The one on the cutback, I don't have really any real data for him other than when he ran at 6 furlongs in his first race. So I don't know if this is a really good race to look at just because there's not that much of a data set, but I would be interested in the 4 horse here because he was second he was first without the filter, and once I applied the filter, he was second. And let me see, get the odds on these. So switching to Equibase to get the morning line odds. Analyze. So the morning line odds on the 4, well, it's 2-1. So that was the favorite. No real value jumping out, I don't think, in this race. But once again, just looking at total starts, we don't have a lot of data to work with. So let me move to a different race. Turf Paradise. They've got a 6.5 furlong on the dirt going. Once again, this comes up just looking at your race conditions. Dirt, 6.5 furlongs. It's a claiming race. I'll look at the data. We've got plenty of data to work with. Total starts for all these horses here. I will sort this by distance and pack it, just so I have an idea of what the horses look like. Obviously, the red the better. But I'm going to look at Analyze here. And let me go to live odds instead of Equibase. There we go. So, Not at the Opera, the one horse who's currently trading at a little over 12-1. Somewhat interesting before I put any filters in. But I'm going to now build a filter. This race is at 6.5, so I'm going to look at horses that have run from 6 furlongs to 6.5. Track condition, all dirt. And once again, if you know, if the track in the middle of the day changed and they suddenly got rain, I would just click off fast and wet fast, and I just look at good, sloppy, muddy, and then you would only be looking at the data on those horses that have run on that track. So once again, that's a quick, easy way that enables you to make an educated decision. But I'll look at all dirt in this case. I'll hit apply. And at Turf Paradise, using that filter, it tells me that once again, the one horse is currently at 11-1 is interesting. Ayotora looks like is the favorite at 2.6 and fits on Form to Win, average Equibase speed figure. Ayotora has an 88 average, Not at the Opera. Once again, is a double qualifier at decent odds. So I would try to get the one horse involved if I were playing the exotics. Maybe if I were Dutching to win, play the favorite and the one also. But I would be interested in the one horse, but we'll have to see how it runs. But also a good angle that I've learned when looking at these claiming races is the last out top figure sometimes has some value. So this horse, 86, 87, 69, 44, 61. So the 2 who's the favorite ran 87. The one horse ran 86, but it looks like the one horse is coming off a layoff, so that could be why the odds are fairly high, which offers good value. You just don't know how they're going to run off a layoff. But based off what the horse has done in the past, if it can fire off the layoff, then it has a decent shot to maybe hit the board or get underneath or just run well. So those are things that I'd be looking at in this particular race. And then once again, if you wanted to bet the favorite to win and you wanted to throw in the one, if you wanted to do some Dutching, you have that option here just by clicking this calculator, telling it how much you want to spend. It tells you what dollar increments you need to use to reach that potential payout. If you were just betting the favorite, that's what your $20 would turn into, 46 based off the current odds. So that just gives you a better idea of what your potential payouts would be, but I would be interested in the one too. And the great thing about the app is you do have what we call the sim bet, which is basically like a practice bank. So you see this, everybody starts out, when you sign up, you get $50, just 50,000, excuse me, of sim money. It's not real money. It's just helping you. You want to try to grow that $50,000, so you could say, oh well, I'll create these bet slips. It'll say create all bets. The money is deducted from the practice money, and we'll just see, if one of those 2 horses wins, what the actual payout is. So that's just a great feature to have, especially as you're starting to learn the game, and just to see if you can grow your initial bankroll. Let's see, next race. We've got Oaklawn in 10 minutes. Delta Downs in 7 minutes. Gulfstream Park Race 8 is coming up also. We'll click on there. Oh, it's kind of a short field. Oh, this is Prevalence's race, who we know could potentially be on the Derby Trail. There's a lot of hype off this horse based off his last race, but he's missed some training. I mean, I didn't look at this race. I would never bet a horse at that price unless I could get a decent price underneath, but it will be interesting to see how he performs today, to see if he can get back on the Derby Trail and maybe have one prep. But I'll have to watch this race on the replay. Just looking at the data, yeah, I mean, he's quite quicker than everyone else, but once again, we're not looking at a whole body of work here. I mean, the 2 horses run 1 time, the 3 horses run 3 times, so not a huge amount of work. So I'm not really interested in this race from a betting perspective, but I am interested just watching it to see how the horse performs, obviously. So let's go to Gulfstream Park Race 9. This is a starter allowance. We've got plenty of data to work with, total starts for each horses. I will sort it by distance and packet, so I've got a good summary of the horses' PPs. Obviously, red is what you want to see, red, green, and yellow means that the horses like to at least get in the money. Obviously, the more red, the better, but we click this Analyze tab to start looking at the data. I've already got it sorted from average form to win time. We need to switch, let me switch the odds back to Equibase because we don't have live odds on that race yet. So average form to win, the top 2 without any filters, our charge account, a little bit of good, and I will sort this through my own filter. So this race is 8.5 furlongs on the turf. I want to look at 8, I've already got it in there, so 8.5, track condition, all turf, apply. So 2. So the 2 horse is a little bit interesting. He was a dual qualifier. So, no, excuse me, no, it wasn't. Sorted this from average Equibase charge account, the top 3. Charge account, Leah Rowe, and Gypsy Wife were the top 3 on average Equibase. Given these parameters, looking at races between 8 and 8.5 furlongs on the turf, and then on average form to win, a little bit of good, Lovely Brown and Gypsy Wife. So Gypsy Wife is interesting, double qualifier. Lovely Brown, because the odds, form to win is saying that she's the second fastest purely off speed. So this will be an interesting race to see how it works out. Charge account, the 1 who looks like he'll be the favorite, fits, but isn't that much better than some of these other horses that are probably going to be trading at higher odds. So that'll be an interesting race to see. And then I just want to see who ran the fastest last out. The 5 ran a 97. So where did the 5 fit on average form to win time? Did not fit on pure speed using this filter. Now if I take the filter off, still wasn't as fast. So that'll be interesting because that horse had the highest last out figure, but on form to win was not one of the top horses. So that'll be another race that will be interesting to watch. I would be interested in primarily the 2 and the 9 and the Gulfstream Race 9. Once again, we'll go to home and next 10. I want to see how Gulfstream Park Race 7. Well, my top pick did not finish in the money. He ran 4th, so that was not a winner. But let's see if we could have found the winner. Was the 1 horse Forever Mo. Did not fit on form to win. Average Equibase did not fit. Now when I applied the filter, he was 3rd on average Equibase and 3rd in average form to win. So he was a dual qualifier, but he can't play them all. You know, this was only a 6-horse race, and he was ranked 3rd in both categories. And I was trying to get the 2-horse, so I'll have to go back and watch that replay. Maybe the 2 horses wasn't good enough, but it'll be interesting to see. Go back to home. See if I find another live race. Next 10. Fairgrounds, Golden Gate, Delta Downs. We got in 5 minutes. There's plenty of time to look at with form to win. I mean, only a 6-horse field. I'll change it to live odds. Those are the current odds. We'll click on Analyze. Sort by average form to win time, lowest to highest. We've got Hanging Lake and Viva Cat, who are not the favorites. Looks like the favorite is the 1-horse. Average Equibase speed figure is Nikki's Guitar, who is your favorite. So let's see. Now I'm going to do a filter. This race is at 7 furlongs on the dirt. Let me see how these race conditions these horses have been running in. So we've got this horse has been running at 8. He does have 1 race at 7.5, 8, 8, 8. Horse is 6.5. So I will set my filter maybe 6.5 to 7. 6.5 furlongs to 7. Track condition, looks like it's dirt, so I'll just do all dirt. Apply, analyze. Looks like the number 4 horse using my filter is slightly faster. He is a dual qualifier on average form to win, highest to lowest, and average Equibase. Both these horses are the 4 and the 5, so I'd be interested in the 4 and the 5. The 1 horse, I don't have any data on at those conditions. So, you know, he's on the cutback, which is always an interesting move. But I would be interested in the 1 and 5. And then, you know, if I just wanted to do a sim bet, I would be interested in those. You could just create that, create. And we'll have to see how that race comes out. So, you know, we just look at that race relatively quickly, and that's the power of this app, is you can analyze raw data and, you know, sort it and do whatever filters you want to do and make decisions relatively quickly. Now, once again, this doesn't take into account troubled trips or a lack of pace in the race. You know, that's a form of handicapping that you have to do on your own, and I enjoy doing that part with the raw PPs. But the app just definitely gives you an easy way to at least put you onto horses that maybe you might overlook. And then you can always handicap with your pen and paper and then go back and run these races through the app, since it literally takes less than 90 seconds, and see if you find anything that you didn't catch the first time. So we'll look at another race. Right at Gulfstream Race 10. Once again, click on this tab here, see the conditions. A lot of turf races at Gulfstream today. This one's going a mile on the turf. Since the race hasn't come up yet, we'll look at morning lines. We've got limited data to look at. I mean, most of these horses have made 1 or 2 starts, so I'm not super excited about handicapping that race with limited data. I'm not saying it can't be done, but you know, with limited data, you can't make the best of decisions without knowing trainer angles and everything like that. But just on an average form to win time, you know, the top 3 without any filters. We'll just create a quick filter. I'll look at 7 to 8. It's kind of my angle at Gulfstream Park. Track conditions, all turf. Well, say this race would be a good one to look at just because there's very little data on these horses to analyze. Looking with the filter that I created. Now, if you wanted to create, looking at, you know, all their or take the filter off and just look at all their data, these are the horses they would put onto you. I wouldn't have any confidence in that, just because these horses have limited starts. But the good thing about this app is when you get to allowance and regular claiming races or high allowance races or stakes races, when you got plenty of data, you can make decisions quickly. So I'll go back to yesterday. I think Mahoning was interesting. Just when I was looking at these races, let's see, that was an allowance race. Let's see if we could have found this winner. Went off at 4-1. This race was at 6 furlongs on the dirt. Make sure we've got plenty of data to work at. Distance packed. I will look at races between 6 and 6.5. Now you could broaden your filter to include races at 5 furlongs to 6.5 furlongs. I mean, I think 5 furlongs personally is, 5 to 5.5 is kind of a sharp distance. Horses that accelerate at 6 are not necessarily the horses I want at 5.5, 5 or 5.5. So I will look at 6 and 6.5. I think those 5 furlong horses tend to be specialists. Not saying that they're not going to be successful at 6 furlongs, depending on what type of field they're facing, but typically those 5 furlong horses are, 5.5 is stretching them. You stretch them out to 6. And against decent company, I want no part of them. But anyway, I digress. 6 furlongs on the dirt, so I would do my filter from 6 to 6.5. Track condition, all dirt. I believe Mahoning Valley was fast yesterday. Average form to win time. Form to win like those two. Excuse me, average equibase. It like those two. Average form to win. It like those two. It did not have the winner, the 3-horse here. So I want to see what the 3-horse did in his last race. He ran a 58, which is the top last out figure, which that's one of the angles that I use to include, especially in some of these cheaper races. Last out, highest figure. It's a decent indicator. I'm not saying it's always going to win, but I have noticed, especially at Parks and Mahoning Valley, that last out figure in some of these cheaper races. So you should keep your eye on those horses, especially if they're not the favorite. Analyze. This was yesterday at Mahoning Valley. Without a filter, the 4-horse, 2-4. So the average form to win time, top 2 horses, actually top 3, ran 1, 2, 3 on form to win. Without a filter, this horse was 3rd. Well, I want to see if we can find a price from yesterday, if there were any. This was a maiden special weight, so I'm not sure about data there. Okay, here's an optional one. Claiming, let's see what horse won this. Oh, that horse was 3-1. I mean, form to win had the exact just reverse order without any filters. The 5 or the 7-horse and the 8-horse, but well, the 8-horse was not the favorite. Went off at 3-1, but still relatively low odds. Analyze. Let's see. This horse was 4-1. That horse was the favorite. So it looks like form to win was finding the winners, but the winners were favorites yesterday. Here's another top 2 without any filters on form to win average. But it looks like it was kind of chalky at Mahoning Valley yesterday. But that's just a general intro to form to win. It takes a little while to get used to get used to looking at past performance data in a different way. Hold on, I'll try to come back on screen here. Okay. Yeah, so we just encourage you, to download the app. I'm on Twitter, so if you have any questions, you can DM me or contact me through Twitter. But yeah, we're excited about it. We're hoping to bring some new people into the game. We think that this has value, and then help you, at least put you onto some horses relatively quickly. I mean, we love the speed of the app. Once you get used to it, the ability to make decisions quickly. And we've got the Dutching tool built in there for you, so you can practice with the sim bet and see if you could find the winner. But appreciate your time. Look forward to talking to Steve again, and I hope that you download the app, and appreciate your time today. And as always, I will bring my co-pilot here on just for a second. Come here, girl. And let you say hello to Mocha. Yeah, so I'm putting her on camera. Yeah, this is my handicapping buddy, Mocha, French Bulldog. She turns a year old next week, but she's my baby. So appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time.